Hello and welcome to the jazz guitar video lessons. We're going to talk a little bit about doing fingerstyle jazz, an approach to fingerstyle jazz, and we're going to go over how to play several tunes and some ideas for improvising with the chord progressions that go to those tunes, which is of course the way you play most kinds of jazz music. You just take the chord progression and then you make things up. There you go. I could stop right there, couldn't I? Well, but nobody would buy the tape. We're going to start off with a couple of swing tunes. I think that no matter what kind of jazz you're trying to play, unless it's in fact nothing but New Orleans jazz and you don't even want to get to music as chordally advanced as swing, if you want anything more modern than that, though, then you really should start with the swing jazz. That's what everything that came after that was based on. Now, when I say swing, of course, I'm referring to the jazz, the music that was around during the Great Depression. Not this depression, but the one before the Second World War, back when they had the big bands. And we think mostly of big bands like Duke Ellington, Count Basie, or Glenn Miller, my father's favorite, the Dorsey Brothers. But there was also small band jazz, and there's no reason not to play it as a solo guitar player. Of course, most of the fingerstyle jazz guitar that we had up until recently, it was kind of an underground thing. There was a swing jazz guitar player named Oscar Aleman, who usually played in the style related to Django Reinhardt, where he was playing in a quintet, sort of like Django's Quintet du Hot Club de France with Stefan Grappelli. This guy, Oscar Aleman, who was an Argentinian guitar player and actually played on a national steel and had a wonderful style, formed a similar quintet with the great swing player Sven Asmussen, and they were sort of lumped into the same category as Django's music. But Aleman did, in fact, actually play some fingerstyle solos in those days, very few, and very nice ones. And after him, there really wasn't that much until people like Charlie Byrd came along and had basically a classical-derived approach that they used for jazz. And there was Charlie Byrd, Lorinda Almeida, people that were around mostly in the 50s and especially in the 60s and are still around, still wonderful guitar players. And some of Charlie Byrd's best playing is very good indeed. But this is what we're going to do here is a different approach entirely. It doesn't have anything to do with the way classical guitar was thought out. And I'll go on record for saying I don't have anything against that approach to the guitar. I think it's an excellent approach. It's just that it happens to be different from what we're going to do here. The style of finger picking that we're doing here derived more from blues and traditional folk styles in America, though those styles were actually based on 19th century parlor music, as it turns out, and people like John Hurt, that we think of as a blues player, was in fact playing the remnants of this old style of 19th century Victorian music. Okay, all of that aside, let's listen to a tune so you get an idea. We're going to play a swing version of a real old pop tune that just about everybody in the world must know, and it's a lot of fun to play, and that you're bound to be already familiar with, but you'll get more familiar with. This is Sweet Georgia Brown.